She called him ugly and worthless, ordering her driver to drench him in filthy gutter water just because he was a poor mechanic. She laughed as he stood shivering in the mud, thinking her father's money made her untouchable, but she had no idea she was fueling a fire that would change his destiny. The sun was angry that afternoon. It beat down on the tin roof of the mechanic shop like a hammer hitting a nail. The heat rose from the ground in waves, making the air shimmer and dance. Everywhere you looked, there was dust. Red dust that covered the old tires stacked by the fence, dust that coated the rusty tools scattered on the workbench, and dust that clung to the sweaty skin of the man and the boy working in the open yard. Josh wiped his forehead with the back of his hand. He was 17 years old, tall and thin, with eyes that held a quiet kind of sadness. He was wearing a blue overall that was 2 sizes too big for him. The overall was stained with black engine oil, grease, and the sweat of 1,000 hard days. "Josh, pass me the 14 spanner," a voice called out from under an old Toyota Camry. "Yes, Papa," Josh replied instantly. He reached into the heavy metal toolbox, his fingers searching for the cold steel. He found the tool and slid it across the concrete floor to his father, Mr. Allen. Mr. Allen was a good man. He was not rich. He did not have a big house or a fancy car. What he had were rough hands, a bad back, and a heart made of gold. He had spent 20 years fixing other people's cars so that his family could eat. Josh respected his father more than anyone in the world. But today, Josh's mind was not fully on the engine. His mind was on a small, cracked side mirror of a customer's car parked near the entrance. Josh looked around to make sure his father was busy. Slowly, nervously, he walked toward the car. He leaned in and looked at his reflection in the side mirror. He saw a boy with a smudge of black grease on his cheek. He saw hair that was dusty. He saw a collar that was frayed and worn out. Josh sighed. His chest felt heavy. Only yesterday, at the government school he attended, 3 boys had laughed at him. They had laughed because his school uniform had a patch on the shoulder where his mother had sewn it. "Look at the mechanic boy," one of them had shouted during break time. "He smells like petrol. Don't stand near him or you will catch poverty." The whole class had laughed. The sound of that laughter was still ringing in Josh's ears like a bell that wouldn't stop. It made him feel small. It made him feel ugly. Now, looking in the mirror, Josh tried to wipe the grease off his cheek with a rag. But the rag was dirty, and it only smeared the black oil further across his face. "Oh no," Josh whispered. "I look like a mad person." He spat on his finger and tried to scrub the spot clean. He wanted to look neat. He wanted to look like a human being, not just a tool used to fix machines. He adjusted his collar. He tried to smooth his hair. He stared at himself, wishing he could see a prince, but the mirror only showed him a servant. A deep, powerful sound cut through the noise of the workshop. It wasn't the coughing sound of the old cars they usually fixed. This was a smooth, expensive purr. It sounded like a lion clearing its throat. Josh turned around. A massive, shining black Jeep was rolling into the yard. It was a brand new SUV, the kind that cost more money than Josh's father could earn in 10 years. The car was so clean it looked like it had just fallen from heaven. The windows were tinted dark, hiding the people inside. The tires were thick and polished, crunching the gravel with authority. The car stopped right in the center of the workshop, casting a long shadow over Josh. Josh froze. He felt a sudden panic. He looked at his dirty hands. He looked at his stained clothes. He felt the urge to run and hide behind the stack of old tires. He didn't want these rich people to see him. He didn't want them to laugh like the boys at school. The driver's door opened first. A man in a smart uniform stepped out. This was Driver Tom. He looked tired, like a man who was carrying a heavy load on his shoulders. He hurried to the back door and opened it. And then she stepped out. Josh's breath caught in his throat. She was about his age, maybe 17. She was beautiful, not just pretty but breathtaking. Her skin was smooth and glowing, like she bathed in milk and honey. She wore a yellow sundress that looked soft and expensive, and on her feet were white sandals that had never touched a speck of dust in their lives. Her hair was long and braided with colorful beads that clicked softly as she moved. This was Lisa. But while her face was like an angel, her eyes were like storms. She stepped onto the dusty ground and immediately wrinkled her nose. It was a look of pure disgust. It was the look one gives when they smell a rotten rat. She looked around the workshop, her eyes scanning the grease, the old cars, and finally they landed on Josh. Josh was standing near her father's car, holding the dirty rag. He had been so mesmerized by her appearance that he had forgotten to move. "Hey," her voice rang out. It was sharp and loud. "You get away from the car." Josh jumped. He almost dropped the rag. "Me?" he asked, his voice shaking. Lisa took a step forward. She did not walk, she stomped. She looked him up and down, from his dusty hair to his oil-stained boots. Her lip curled in a sneer. "Yes, you," she shouted. "Are you deaf? I said get away from the car. Look at you. You are filthy. Do you want to stain my daddy's car with your rags?" Josh felt the heat rush to his face. It burned hotter than the sun. He lowered his hand slowly. I was just checking the mirror, miss," Josh stammered. He tried to smile, tried to be polite. His father had always taught him that a soft answer turns away anger. "I didn't touch the paint, I promise." "Checking the mirror," Lisa laughed. It was a cold, cruel sound. "Why, did you think looking in a mirror would change what you are? You are a mechanic boy. You are dirty. You are ugly. And you are unworthy to even breathe near this vehicle." The words hit Josh like stones. Ugly, unworthy. He felt a lump form in his throat. He wanted to defend himself. He wanted to say, "I am clean on the inside." But the words wouldn't come. Instead, he looked at her. He saw the anger in her eyes, but Josh was a boy who observed things. He saw that her hands were clenched into fists. He saw that she was shaking slightly. He realized in a strange way that she was trying too hard to be mean. "I am sorry if I offended you, miss," Josh said, his voice quiet but steady. "But you know, you are too pretty to talk like that. Anger makes a beautiful face look spoiled." He didn't mean it as an insult. He meant it as the truth. But for Lisa, it was the spark that lit the dynamite. Her eyes went wide. Her face turned red. She was a rich girl, the daughter of Mr. Carter. No one spoke to her like that. No one corrected her. No one dared to tell her what to do, and certainly not a dirty boy in oversized clothes. "What did you say?" she shrieked, her voice cracked with rage. "Did you just call me spoiled? Did you just insult me?" "No, miss, I—" "Shut up," she screamed. She turned around looking for an audience. Daddy, come out and see this thug." The back door of the SUV opened again. A tall man stepped out. This was Mr. Carter. He was a big man with broad shoulders and a face that looked like it was carved from stone. He wore a crisp white suit that dazzled in the sunlight. He held a phone in one hand and a gold cane in the other. He looked powerful. He looked like a man who could buy the entire mechanic shop with the change in his pocket. "What is it, Lisa?" Mr. Carter asked. His voice was deep and booming. "Why are you shouting in this heat?" Lisa ran to her father. She pointed a manicured finger at Josh, accusing him like he was a criminal. "Daddy, look at him," she cried, twisting the truth as easily as she twisted her hair. "This dirty boy, he insulted me. He called me names. He said I am ugly and spoiled. And he was trying to scratch the car with his dirty rag." Josh's eyes widened in horror. "No, sir, that is not true. I never said." Mr. Carter frowned. He looked at Josh. He didn't see a 17-year-old boy. He didn't see a human being with feelings. He only saw a nuisance. He saw a fly that was buzzing too close to his daughter. "Is this true?" Mr. Carter asked, his voice cold. "Sir, I swear," Josh pleaded, taking a step forward, his hands open to show he had nothing to hide. "I only said she was too pretty to be angry. I was checking the mirror because—" "Be quiet," Mr. Carter snapped. He didn't want explanations. He didn't care about the boy's side of the story. He turned to his daughter. "Lisa, get back in the car. It's too hot for this nonsense." "But Daddy," Lisa stomped her foot. "He needs to be punished. You can't let a rat talk to me like that." Just then, a scraping sound came from under the Camry. Mr. Allen slid out on his back. He stood up quickly, wiping his oily hands on a rag. He saw the big SUV. He saw the angry rich man. He saw his son, Josh, looking terrified and humiliated. Mr. Allen hurried over. He walked with a slight limp, a reminder of years of hard labor. "Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon," Mr. Allen said, bowing his head slightly in respect. "Welcome to Allen's workshop. I am sorry for the delay. I was under that car." He looked at Josh. He saw the pain in his son's eyes. Mr. Allen knew his son. He knew Josh was respectful. He knew Josh would never insult a customer. But he also knew that in this world, the rich man is always right and the poor man is always wrong. "What is happening here?" Mr. Allen asked gently. "Your boy," Mr. Carter said, pointing his gold cane at Josh, "has no manners. My daughter says he insulted her." "I didn't, Papa," Josh whispered, his voice breaking. "She called me dirty. She called me ugly." Mr. Allen looked at Lisa. She was standing by the car door, her arms crossed, a smirk playing on her lips. She looked proud. She looked satisfied that she had caused trouble. Mr. Allen took a deep breath. He put a hand on Josh's shoulder. He squeezed it tight, a silent signal that meant, "I believe you, but be quiet for now." "I apologize, sir," Mr. Allen said to Mr. Carter. He swallowed his pride. He had to. If he lost this customer, they might not eat that night. "Josh is a good boy, but sometimes young people misunderstand each other. Please forgive him." Lisa scoffed loud enough for everyone to hear. "He is not a good boy. He is a piece of trash." Mr. Allen froze. The air in the workshop went silent. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. To insult a man is one thing. To insult his child right in front of him is another. Mr. Carter looked at his daughter. Even he, with all his money and arrogance, felt that was too much. "Lisa," Mr. Carter warned, his voice low. "That is enough. Get in the car." "But..." "Now," Mr. Carter roared. Lisa jumped, her face flushed with embarrassment. She wasn't used to her father shouting at her in front of commoners. She glared at Josh with pure hatred. In her mind, this was his fault. If he hadn't spoken back, her father wouldn't have yelled at her. She opened the car door and threw herself inside, slamming it shut with a bang that shook the vehicle. Mr. Carter turned back to Mr. Allen. He didn't apologize for his daughter's words. Rich men like him didn't apologize to mechanics. "The engine is making a knocking sound," Mr. Carter said, "all business now. Fix it. I need it ready in 2 hours. "Yes, sir," Mr. Allen said quietly. "Is Madame not with you?" "No," Mr. Carter replied, checking his gold watch. "She is traveling. Just fix the car." Mr. Carter walked toward the small waiting area, tapping on his phone, completely ignoring Josh. Mr. Allen stood there for a moment. He looked at his son. Josh was staring at the ground, his fists clenched at his sides. A single tear had escaped his eye and was cutting a clean line through the grease on his cheek. "Josh," Mr. Allen whispered. Josh looked up. His eyes were red. "Why, Papa? Why do they hate us? I didn't do anything." Mr. Allen sighed. He took the dirty rag from Josh's hand. He wiped the spot on Josh's cheek where the tear had fallen. "It is not about you, my son," Mr. Allen said softly. "Some people are so poor that all they have is money. They are empty inside, so they try to step on others to feel tall." "It hurts," Josh said, his voice trembling. "I know," Mr. Allen said, "but pain is like fire. It can burn you down or it can forge you into steel. Go and wash your face. We have work to do." Josh nodded. He sniffed and wiped his nose. He watched his father pop the hood of the shiny black SUV. Josh walked toward the bucket of water near the back of the shop. He looked at the SUV one last time. He couldn't see through the tinted glass, but he knew she was in there. Lisa, the girl with the face of an angel and the tongue of a snake. He didn't know it yet, but this was not the end of his trouble with Lisa. It was only the beginning. And inside the cool, air-conditioned car, Lisa was not finished. She was sitting on the leather seat, fuming, her heart beating fast with shame and anger. She looked out the window at Josh walking away. "You think you have won because my daddy shouted at me," she whispered to the glass. "You just wait. You will see who owns this city." She tapped the shoulder of driver Tom. "Tom," she hissed. "Yes, Miss Lisa," the driver answered nervously. "Start the car, I want to go out." "But your father said." "I don't care what he said," she snapped. "Take me out now or you are fired." The driver swallowed hard. He looked at Mr. Allen working on the engine, then at the angry girl in the back seat. He turned the key. The engine roared to life. Josh turned around, surprised, just as the car began to move. He didn't know that the worst part of his day was about to happen. The inside of the black SUV was cold. It was a fake, artificial cold that came from the air conditioner blasting at full speed. It smelled of vanilla and expensive leather, a scent that was designed to make you forget that the world outside was hot, dusty, and hard. Lisa sat in the back seat, her arms crossed tight against her chest. She was shivering, but not from the cold. She was shivering from a rage that was boiling inside her blood. Her face was turned toward the window, watching the streets of Lagos blur past. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw it again. She saw the mechanic boy, Josh, looking at her. She saw the way he had stood there, calm and quiet, while she shouted. But mostly, she heard the sound of her father's voice yelling at her. "Lisa, that is enough." The memory felt like a slap. Her father never shouted at her in public. He was Mr. Carter. He was a man of dignity. He usually let her do whatever she wanted. But today, because of that dirty boy with the grease on his face, her father had humiliated her. She bit her lip until it hurt. "It's his fault," she whispered to the glass. "If he hadn't talked back, if he hadn't tried to act smart, who does he think he is, telling me I am too pretty to be angry? Does he think he can talk to me like we are equals?" In the front seat, driver Tom was gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles were white. He was a man in his 40s, with a wife and 3 children waiting for him at home in a small, cramped apartment in Egbeda. He needed this job. The salary paid for his children's school fees and his wife's medication. He glanced in the rearview mirror. He saw Lisa's face. He saw the storm clouds gathering in her eyes. He knew that look. He had driven for the Carter family for 5 years, and he knew that when Miss Lisa went quiet like this, trouble was coming. The car was approaching a large roundabout. To the left was the smooth, tarred road that led to the wealthy estate where Lisa's private school was located. To the right was the old, broken road that looped back through the market and past the mechanic shop. Tom put on the left indicator. "Where do you think you are going?" Lisa's voice cut through the silence. It was sharp like a piece of broken glass. Tom jumped slightly. "To your school, Miss Lisa. We are already late." "Turn right," Lisa commanded. Tom blinked. He looked at the road on the right. It was full of potholes. It was the long way. And worst of all, it led back past the very place they had just left. "But miss," Tom said gently, his voice trembling slightly, "that is the long route. The traffic there is bad. If we go that way, you will miss your first class." "Did I ask for your opinion?" Lisa snapped. She leaned forward, her face appearing between the 2 front seats. Her eyes were cold. "I said turn right. Are you the boss now? Do you pay my father's bills, or are you just the driver?" "I am just the driver, miss," Tom mumbled, shame washing over him. "Then drive," she hissed. "Take the long route. I want to see the city. I want to see the scenery." Tom knew it was a lie. There was no scenery on that road. Only dust, hawkers selling gala and lacasera, and open gutters. But he had no choice. He thought of his daughter's school fees due next week. He thought of the landlord threatening to lock his door. With a heavy heart, Tom turned the steering wheel to the right. The big SUV swerved away from the smooth road and bounced onto the rough, uneven laterite of the market road. The car began to shake and bump as it hit the potholes. Lisa didn't care. She was looking out the window, her eyes scanning the roadside like a hawk hunting for a mouse. "Drive slower," she ordered. "Yes, miss." The car crawled past the women selling roasted corn. It crawled past the Okada riders arguing over passengers. Lisa's heart was beating fast. She didn't know exactly what she was looking for, but she wanted revenge. She wanted to make herself feel big again, and the only way she knew how to feel big was to make someone else feel small. And then she saw him. About 200 meters ahead, walking on the side of the road, was a tall, thin figure. It was Josh. He was struggling. He was carrying a heavy yellow jerry can of water on his shoulder and a bucket in his other hand. The tap at the mechanic's shop must have run dry, as it often did in this part of the city. He was walking slowly, his head bowed under the weight, his mechanic uniform still stained with oil. He looked tired, he looked defeated. Most people would see a hardworking boy helping his father, but Lisa saw a target. A cruel smile spread across her face. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who is hurting and wants to share the pain. "Tom," she said softly. "Yes, miss." "Do you see that boy, the one with the bucket?" Tom squinted. He recognized the blue overall. He recognized the boy who had spoken so politely at the workshop. "Yes, miss, that is the mechanic's son." "Speed up," Lisa said. "Miss." "I said speed up," she repeated, her voice rising, "and move closer to the edge of the road." Tom looked at the road ahead. Between the car and the boy there was a massive pothole. It wasn't just a hole, it was a crater filled with stagnant, muddy water. It was black, smelly, and deep. It had rained the night before, and that puddle was a trap waiting to happen. If he sped up and drove close to the edge, the tire would hit that water with force. It would send a wave, a tsunami of dirty, stinking sludge, right onto the boy. Tom's hands began to shake on the wheel. "Miss Lisa, please, there is water there. If I drive there, it will splash him." "I know," Lisa said coolly. "That is the point." Tom's heart stopped. He looked at the girl in the rearview mirror. He saw a child, yes, but he saw a monster growing inside her. "I cannot do that, miss," Tom said, his voice barely a whisper. "He is just a boy. He didn't do anything. It is not right." For a second there was silence. Then Lisa laughed. "Right?" she scoffed. "You want to talk about what is right? Is it right that my father pays you to obey me and you are arguing? Is it right that you are driving a car you can never afford in 10 lifetimes? She leaned closer to his ear. "Listen to me, Tom. If you do not hit that puddle, if you do not splash that boy, I will pick up my phone right now. I will call my daddy. And do you know what I will tell him?" Tom stared at the road. Sweat was pouring down his face. "No, miss." "I will tell him that you were speeding. I will tell him you were reckless. I will tell him you nearly killed us. My father believes everything I say. You will be fired before we even get to school. No reference. No severance pay. Nothing." Tom froze. The threat hung in the air like a guillotine. He thought of his wife, Sarah. He thought of his son, Junior, who needed new textbooks. He thought of the empty bag of rice in his kitchen. Lisa saw his hesitation. She knew she had one. "Do it," she commanded. "Do it now or lose your job." Tom closed his eyes for a split second. He whispered a prayer for forgiveness. He hated himself in that moment. He hated his poverty. He hated that he had no power. He gripped the wheel. He pressed his foot down on the accelerator. The engine roared. The black beast of a car surged forward. Josh, walking on the side of the road, heard the engine. He turned his head slightly, expecting the car to swerve away to avoid the pothole. He didn't move. He trusted that no human being would intentionally drive into a hole just to hurt another person. He was wrong. The car didn't swerve away, it swerved in. Time seemed to slow down. It was a strange thing how moments of cruelty could stretch seconds into hours. Josh was balancing the heavy yellow jerry can on his left shoulder. The muscles in his neck were straining. His right hand gripped the handle of the plastic bucket filled with water. He was thinking about how heavy the water was. He was thinking about how thirsty his father must be back at the shop. He heard the roar of the engine behind him. It was the deep, angry growl of the black SUV. He turned his head. He saw the silver grille of the car shining in the sun like the teeth of a shark. He saw the tires spinning fast, and he saw the massive pool of black, stagnant water right next to his feet. They will move, Josh thought. They have to move. But the car kept coming. It aimed for the puddle like an arrow aiming for a heart. Josh tried to jump. He tried to step back into the bush, but the weight of the water on his shoulder held him down. He was too slow. Splash. It wasn't just a splash. It was an explosion. The heavy tire of the SUV hit the crater of water at full speed. The black, oily, muddy liquid erupted into the air. It rose up like a wall, thick and heavy. It smelled of rotten garbage, old engine oil, and the decay of the gutter. The wave crashed over Josh. It hit him from head to toe. It slapped him in the face. It soaked his hair. It drenched his blue overall. It filled his mouth and nose with the taste of filth. The force of the water was so strong that Josh lost his balance. His foot slipped in the mud. He fell. The yellow jerry can flew off his shoulder and hit the ground with a thud, bursting open. The clean water he had walked 20 minutes to fetch spilled out into the dust, wasted. The bucket in his hand clattered away, rolling into the ditch. Josh landed hard on his knees in the mud. He gasped, spitting out the dirty water. He wiped his eyes, trying to see. He was dripping wet. He was covered in muck. He looked like something that had crawled out of a swamp. For a moment, he just sat there, stunned. His ears were ringing. He couldn't understand what had just happened. Then he looked up. The black SUV had slowed down just a few meters ahead. The back window rolled down slowly, smoothly. And there she was. Lisa. She was leaning out of the window, looking back at him. Her beautiful yellow dress was untouched. Her face was dry and clean. She was looking at him with wide eyes. At first she smiled. It was a reflex. It was the satisfaction of revenge. She laughed, a short, sharp sound. "That will teach you," she shouted. "That will teach you to respect your betters." But then something happened. Josh didn't shout back. He didn't curse. He didn't throw a stone. He just stayed on his knees in the mud, shivering. He slowly wiped the black sludge from his face, and he looked at her. His eyes met hers across the distance. Lisa stopped laughing. She expected to see anger in his eyes. She expected to see hate. She wanted to see hate because hate is easy to fight. If he hated her, then he was the enemy and she was justified. But Josh didn't look hateful. He looked broken. His eyes held a deep, profound sadness. It was the look of a dog that has been kicked by the master it tried to please. It was the look of a human being whose dignity had been stolen for sport. He looked at her not with rage, but with a silent question. Why? What did I do to you to deserve this? The smile froze on Lisa's face. It withered and died. Her heart gave a strange, painful thump. She suddenly felt cold, even though the sun was blazing. She looked at the boy in the mud, a boy who had done nothing but work hard and try to be neat. And for the first time in her life, the shield of her arrogance cracked. She saw the wasted water on the ground. She knew what that meant. She knew poor people struggled for water. She had just destroyed his hard work. "Drive," she whispered. Her voice was trembling now. Driver Tom didn't need to be told twice. He was staring straight ahead, his own eyes filled with tears of shame. He couldn't look in the mirror. He couldn't look at the boy. He felt like a criminal. "I said drive," Lisa screamed, but this time it wasn't a scream of power. It was a scream of panic. She wanted to get away. She wanted to run from those sad, brown eyes that were judging her soul. The window rolled up. The car sped away, kicking up dust, leaving Josh alone on the side of the road. Inside the car, silence fell like a heavy blanket. Lisa sat back in the leather seat. Her chest was heaving up and down. She waited for the feeling of victory. She waited for the rush of satisfaction. It didn't come. Instead, she felt a knot forming in her stomach. It twisted and turned. She looked at her hands. They were clean, manicured, and soft, but she felt dirty. She felt filthier than the boy she had just splashed. She remembered his words from the workshop. "You are too pretty to be angry." Now she caught her reflection in the darkened window. She didn't look pretty. She looked ugly, truly, deeply ugly. "He deserved it," she said aloud, trying to convince herself. Her voice sounded small and weak in the quiet car. "He was rude. He deserved it." Driver Tom said nothing. He just kept his eyes on the road, his silence shouting louder than any words. Back on the roadside, Josh finally moved. He stood up slowly. His clothes were heavy and sticking to his skin. The smell of the gutter water was suffocating. He looked down at his hands. They were trembling. He looked at the spilled jerry can. It was empty. The water was gone. He looked at the bucket in the ditch. Tears welled up in his eyes again, mixing with the dirty water on his face. He wasn't crying because of the wet clothes. He wasn't crying because of the smell. He was crying because he was tired. He was 17 years old. He worked every day. He never stole. He never fought. He tried to be clean. He tried to be respectful. He tried to be a man. And yet, to people like Lisa, he was nothing. He was just a target for their amusement. "Why?" he whispered to the empty road. "God, why am I not a person? Do I not have a heart?" He picked up the empty jerry can. He picked up the muddy bucket. He couldn't go back to the tap. It was too far, and he didn't have the strength to walk that way again. He had to go back to the shop. He had to go back to his father, empty-handed and covered in shame. He began to walk. Every step was heavy. Squish, squish, squish went his boots. Cars passed him. People in buses stared at him through the windows. Some pointed and laughed. "Look at that dirty boy. Ah, did he fall in the gutter? So careless." Josh kept his head down. He focused on his feet. Left, right, left, right. He built a wall around his heart. He told himself not to listen. He told himself that he was a stone and stones do not feel pain. But he was not a stone. He was a boy, and his heart was breaking into 1,000 pieces. The walk back to Alan's workshop was the longest walk of Josh's life. The sun, which had been hot before, now felt like it was baking the dirt into his skin. As the water dried, it became itchy and stiff. The smell of the gutter followed him like a shadow. When he finally turned the corner and saw the familiar tin roof of the workshop, he hesitated. He stopped by the gate post. He didn't want his father to see him like this. Mr. Allen was a proud man. Not proud in an arrogant way, but proud of his dignity. He taught Josh to always keep his head up, to keep his clothes as neat as the work allowed. To walk in looking like a swamp creature felt like a failure. But he had nowhere else to go. Josh took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the scent of gasoline and oil, smells that usually felt like home, but now felt like reminders of his station in life. He walked into the yard. Mr. Allen was still working on the black SUV. The bonnet was up, and he was leaning deep into the engine, his wrenches clicking rhythmically. He was humming a small tune, a song about patience that he often sang when the work was hard. "Josh," Mr. Allen called out without looking up, "did you get the water? My throat is dry like the desert." Josh stood a few feet away. He didn't answer. He couldn't trust his voice. Mr. Allen paused. The silence from his son was unusual. Josh always answered. "Josh." Mr. Allen pulled his head out of the engine. He wiped his hands on his trousers and turned around. The wrench fell from his hand. It hit the concrete floor with a loud clang. Mr. Allen stared. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. He saw his son standing there, dripping wet. He saw the black sludge coating Josh's hair. He saw the empty jerry can dangling from his hand. But mostly he saw Josh's face. It was a mask of misery. The boy's lower lip was trembling, fighting a losing battle against the tears. "My son," Mr. Allen whispered. He rushed forward. He didn't care about the dirt. He didn't care about the smell. He grabbed Josh by the shoulders. "What happened? Did you fall? Were you hit? Speak to me." Josh shook his head. He looked at the shiny black SUV parked right there, the cause of all his pain. He looked at his father, the man who was fixing the car of the demon who had done this. It was her," Josh choked out. "Who?" Mr. Allen asked, searching Josh's body for injuries. "The girl," Josh said, his voice cracking. "The girl in the car, Lisa." Mr. Allen froze. His hands tightened on Josh's shoulders. "The customer's daughter." Josh nodded. The tears finally spilled over, cutting fresh tracks through the dried mud on his cheeks. "I was walking on the road. I was carrying the water. They came behind me. The driver, he swerved. He drove into the big pothole. On purpose, Papa, on purpose." Josh sobbed, a heaving sound that came from his chest. "She laughed. She rolled down the window and she laughed. She said it would teach me to respect my betters." Mr. Allen's face changed. The worry vanished. In its place came a look that Josh had rarely seen. It was a dark, stormy look. His jaw clenched so hard that a vein popped out on his forehead. His hands, usually so gentle, turned into fists of iron. He looked at the black SUV. He looked at the engine he had been so carefully fixing. For a moment, Josh thought his father was going to pick up a hammer and smash the car's windshield. He thought his father was going to scream. He thought his father was going to march to the rich man's house and demand justice. Mr. Allen took a step toward the car. His breathing was heavy. "They treat us like dogs," Mr. Allen hissed. "We fix their cars. We keep them safe on the road, and they treat my son like a dog." He reached for a heavy iron bar lying on the workbench. "Papa, no," Josh cried out. He grabbed his father's arm. His wet, muddy hands gripped Mr. Allen's wrist. "Papa, don't. If you touch the car, they will arrest you. They will put you in prison. Who will take care of Mama? Who will take care of me?" Mr. Allen stopped. He looked down at his son. He saw the fear in Josh's eyes. Not fear of the rich girl, but fear for him. Fear that his father would do something foolish and lose everything. Mr. Allen dropped the iron bar. It clattered to the ground. He let out a long, shuddering breath. His shoulders slumped. The anger didn't leave, but it changed shape. It turned into a deep, aching sorrow. He turned back to Josh. He didn't care about the smell. He pulled his dirty, wet son into a hug. He held him tight, pressing Josh's head against his chest. "I am sorry," Mr. Allen whispered into Josh's muddy hair. "I am so sorry, my son. I am sorry I cannot protect you from the wickedness of this world." Josh buried his face in his father's greasy overall. He cried. He let it all out, the shame of the schoolmates, the insult from the girl, the coldness of the water. "Why, Papa?" Josh asked, his voice muffled. "Why do they hate us? Is it a sin to be a mechanic? Is it a sin to be poor?" Mr. Allen pulled back. He held Josh's face in his rough hands. He looked him straight in the eye. "Listen to me, Joshua," he said firmly. "You are not nothing, do you hear me? You are not nothing." "I feel like nothing," Josh whispered. "That is what they want," Mr. Allen said. "They think that because they have money they are gods, but money does not make a man, Josh. Character makes a man. Kindness makes a man. Strength makes a man." Mr. Allen gestured to the bucket of clean water he kept for washing hands. "Go," he said gently. "Go to the back. Wash this filth off you. Change into your spare clothes. I will warm your food. You will not stand here and smell like their wickedness." Josh nodded. He sniffed and wiped his nose. "But Papa, the car, you are still fixing it." Mr. Allen looked at the black SUV. He looked at the engine. "Yes," Mr. Allen said quietly, "I will fix it." "Why?" Josh asked. "Leave it broken, let them walk." Mr. Allen shook his head. "No, Josh. If I leave it broken, I become like them. I become a man who does not keep his word. I am a mechanic. I promise to fix it. My honor is worth more than their insults." He picked up the wrench again. "But mark my words, my son," Mr. Allen said, his voice low and serious. "One day the table will turn. One day they will know the worth of the Allen family. Go now. Wash." Josh walked to the back of the shop. He peeled off the heavy, soaked overall. He poured the bucket of cold, clean water over his head. As the mud washed away, swirling down the drain, Josh felt something changing inside him. The sadness was still there, but it was hardening. It was cooling like molten metal. He put on his clean t-shirt and jeans. He looked at himself in the small mirror in the bathroom, the same mirror he checked every morning. The boy looking back was different. His eyes were older. He walked back out. His father handed him a plate of rice. It was warm. "Sit," Mr. Allen said. "Eat. Strength comes from the belly, then the heart." Josh sat on a stack of tires. He ate. He watched his father working on the car of the girl who hated him. He watched his father's hands, skilled, patient, honest. "Being a man is not about fighting them with fists," Mr. Allen said, tightening a bolt. "It is not about shouting in the street. It is about becoming better than the pain they cause." Josh chewed slowly. He looked at the luxury car. He thought of Lisa's face. Becoming better. He swallowed the food. It tasted like determination. "I will not be a mechanic forever, Papa," Josh said suddenly. Mr. Allen stopped working. He looked at his son. "I will go to school," Josh said, his voice steady. "I will study hard. I will work harder than anyone. And one day I will buy a car bigger than this. And I will never ever splash water on anyone." Mr. Allen smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was full of pride. "That is my boy," Mr. Allen said. "That is the revenge that lasts, success." Josh finished his food. He stood up. He walked over to his father. "Give me the spanner, Papa," Josh said. "Let's finish this car." Mr. Allen handed him the tool. They worked side by side in the fading light of the afternoon. The rich man's car hummed to life, fixed by the hands of the people they despised. But as the engine roared, Josh made a silent vow. This grease on his hands was temporary. This dust on his feet was temporary. He would rise. He would build. And one day, the name Josh Allen would not be whispered in mockery but spoken with respect. The sun began to set, casting long shadows over the workshop. The air cooled, and the chaotic noise of the day began to settle into the rhythmic hum of the evening. The black SUV was ready. Mr. Allen wiped the bonnet with a clean rag, leaving no streak behind. He was a professional, even when his heart was bleeding. "Josh," he said quietly, "pack the tools." "Yes, Papa." Josh moved efficiently, placing each wrench and screwdriver into its designated spot in the metal box. He was clean now, dressed in his faded but neat civilian clothes. But inside, he felt different. The events of the day had carved something out of him, leaving a hollow space that he was rapidly filling with resolve. A pair of headlights swept across the yard. Another car, a smaller sedan, pulled up. It was driver Tom. He had returned, but not in the big SUV. He had come in one of the Carter family's errand cars to pick up the repaired vehicle. Tom stepped out. He looked smaller than he had in the morning. His shoulders were hunched, and he couldn't meet anyone's eyes. He held the payment envelope in his hand. "Good evening, Mr. Allen," Tom said, his voice barely a whisper. Mr. Allen stood tall. He wiped his hands on a rag. He did not smile. He did not offer the usual warm greeting. "Good evening," Mr. Allen replied flatly. Tom fidgeted. He looked toward the back of the shop where Josh was locking the toolbox. He saw Josh watching him. Tom walked over to Mr. Allen and handed him the envelope. Mr. Carter sent the payment, and a small tip for the quick work. Mr. Allen took the envelope. He opened it, checked the cash, and then pulled out the extra bills, the tip. He held the tip out to Tom. "Take this back," Mr. Allen said. Tom blinked, surprised. "Sir, it is extra money. You earned it." "I earned the money for the repair," Mr. Allen said, his voice hard as granite. "I do not want his charity, and I do not want money that smells of guilt." Tom swallowed hard. He lowered his hand. I am sorry, Mr. Allen, about today, about the boy." Mr. Allen stepped closer. "You are a father too, Tom, are you not?" "Yes, sir, I have 3. "Then you know," Mr. Allen said. "You know that a man protects his children. You let that girl use you as a weapon against my son. You chose your job over your conscience." Tom looked at the ground. "I had no choice. She threatened to fire me. My children have to eat." "We all have to eat," Mr. Allen said softly. "But what we eat should not poison our souls. Go, take the car." Tom nodded, shame burning his face. He walked to the black SUV, got in, and drove it out of the yard. The car that had caused so much pain was finally gone. Mr. Allen turned to Josh. "Come, let us go home." They locked the heavy iron gates of the workshop. They began the long walk to the bus stop. The streetlights flickered on, illuminating the dust swirling in the air. Usually, Josh and his father talked about the cars they fixed, or the football match, or what Mama was cooking for dinner. But tonight, they walked in silence. Josh was thinking. His mind was racing like a piston in an engine. He thought about Lisa. He thought about her soft hands and her cruel laugh. He realized something profound. She was weak. She needed to hurt him to feel strong. She needed her father's money to feel important. "I don't need that," Josh thought. "I have these." He looked at his own hands. They were rough. They were scarred, but they could fix things. They could build things. "Papa," Josh said, breaking the silence. "Yes, Josh." Do you think I can be an engineer?" Mr. Allen stopped walking. People bustled around them, traders packing up their wares, commuters rushing for the yellow Danfo buses. Mr. Allen looked at his son. "An engineer?" "Yes," Josh said. His eyes were shining under the street lamp. "Not just a mechanic, an engineer, someone who designs the cars, someone who builds the engines. I want to understand how they work inside and out. I want to build machines that don't break." Mr. Allen smiled. It was a genuine, wide smile that reached his eyes. "Josh," he said, "you have the mind for it, you have the hands for it, but it costs money. University costs money." "I will work," Josh said quickly. "I will work double shifts at the shop. I will save every naira. I will study at night. I don't care how hard it is." Mr. Allen put his arm around Josh's shoulder. He squeezed tight. "Then we will do it," Mr. Allen declared. "I will work double shifts too. Your mother will sell more vegetables. If you have the dream, we will find the way." They reached the bus stop. A yellow bus screeched to a halt, the conductor shouting, "Ashodi, Ashodi, enter with your change, oh." As Josh climbed into the bus, he felt a lightness in his chest. The weight of the afternoon's humiliation had lifted. It had been replaced by a burning purpose. He sat by the window as the bus rattled into the Lagos traffic. He looked out at the city lights blurring past. Somewhere out there, in a big mansion with high walls, Lisa was probably sleeping in a soft bed. She probably didn't even remember his face. She probably thought he was just a speck of dust she had washed away. Let her sleep, Josh thought. Let her be comfortable. He clenched his fist, not in anger but in promise. "Sleep well, Lisa, because while you sleep I will be working. While you party I will be studying. And one day when we meet again, and we will meet again, You will not see a dirty mechanic boy. You will see a man who built his own throne. Mr. Allen sat beside him, his head nodding with sleep, exhausted from the day. Josh watched his father, this humble, quiet hero who had taught him that dignity is not bought, but earned. Josh leaned his head against the cool glass of the window. "Thank you, Lisa," he whispered into the noise of the engine. "Thank you for the water. You tried to drown me, but you only watered the seed." The bus sped on into the night, carrying a boy who had left the workshop as a victim, but was going home as a visionary. The story of the boy with the greasy hands was far from over. In fact, the engine had only just started. Watch out for part 2. Subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications bell so you'll be the first to watch when I upload it. What did you learn from this story? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I would be glad to read them. Where are you watching from? Don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your loved ones. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.